There
There.
we go. There. We're good. It's super sunshiny there, obviously. Okay, guys, so today we are going to do Instagram training for you. Obviously, we could go on and on and on for hours and hours and hours, for weeks and weeks on Instagram training. But we just wanted to kind of give you the bare minimum, some things and some tools that you could use that would drastically benefit your business quickly. So we're going to go through, I'm going to talk for about 10 minutes. Ash is going to talk for about 10 minutes. We both have a lot of experience in this area and we both have done very well. And the reason that Instagram is so powerful right now is because a couple reasons. Number one, Instagram tends to be more content based and there's more people actually watching rather than just scrolling and commenting. So what happens is people are consuming more content on Instagram, and it's now, oh, it's working. What?
Yeah, I'm going live. Sorry.
Oh, perfect. Okay. So basically, when we talk about organic sales and organic leads, that basically means something that you haven't paid for. And Instagram's really fantastic for that because when you create a relationship with your audience, like we've talked to you before, where you like, know, and trust you, which you can do through Instagram stories and on your page, that basically when you do have an offer and you've created those powerful relationships, that you can actually potentially do a lot of sales. And also because of the way that we're going to kind of teach you how to do some of these things, you know, you can share success, you can share testimonials, and that's really, really important. So I'm just going to go right into stories really quick. Because stories are the most powerful place that you need to be. You need to be on your stories every single day, truly. And there's 3 different kinds of content that, oh, we have a bit of a storm here. The lights don't go out. So there's 3 different kinds of content that you create. And I mentioned this before. It's either to inspire, to educate, or to entertain. And obviously the education is going to be based on your product or your service or your brand. So, and the big thing is a lot of people just do sales. That's not entertaining. And at the end of the day, that's not what's going to create a relationship with your audience. It's like a horror movie in here. So, so it's really important to create different kinds of products, content, and using your stories regularly. So just a couple tips that you need to know about your stories is, number 1, the more you post throughout the day, if you're consistently posting throughout the day instead of just once at one time, what it does is it adds you to the top of the list. So when you see on the tops, you know, all those little, where you see everybody's stories on the top of your Instagram, and I'm going to pull up Instagram. I'm going to show you my page. I'm going to show you Ash's page. But basically when you pull that, when you're at the top of that list, those are basically the people that you're either watching the most or that you most recently have connected with. And this is another little hack, a little trick for you. When you have someone follow you, message them, go look at their page, go look at what they're about, and then message them and literally be like, hey, I really like this post that you did. I'm just wondering, you know, why you're following me and what you would like to see more of on my page. And having them interact back, what it's going to do because you reached out to them is it's actually going to automatically put you to the top of their stories. So you do want to be able to be in front of a lot of people on your stories. If you're using filters or anything like that, pick one and stick to one. If you're all over the map, you have to think people are inundated with content nowadays. So if there's too much eye candy, it actually turns people off. And we'll get into your news feed. I just want to start with stories and let Ash touch on it as well. But it is really important that you create consistency and that your content is ever evolving and it's ever changing. It's absolutely imperative. How many times do you watch people's stories and it's like the exact same thing every day? Or they talk for too long constantly and you just kind of click through it. You know, if you're someone that kind of does the same things all the time, then that's going to get really redundant for people. So also watch what you watch. Why is it entertaining for you? Why do you like watching what someone else is doing? And you know, then there's people that do a lot of preaching. It's like preach. That also gets draining. So it's really important to mix up your content and like have, you know, sometimes and making a story. It's called a story for a reason. This is really important. It's not just posting random stuff. You can make a story out of anything. And to become a storyteller is a really powerful tool. I went to Vancouver Film School and we learned about storytelling. We wrote scripts. And the biggest thing is you have to see opportunity to tell a story. So for example, if I'm going on an adventure for the day and I know where I'm going, I'm going to start talking about that adventure early on. Because what happens is if you just show random bits and pieces of your day and it doesn't make sense for people, they can't get into your story and they're going to click out. So, and you know, finding the littlest things. I use this example all the time. I got so many people message me about this. I was in a training and I really get like annoyed when people are fidgety. And I looked around and everybody was twitching their feet. You know how people do that with their feet? So I made a story of it. I literally was like, I would take a little video and then I'd be like, oh, now we have more. And I made like this story out of it and actually ended up being probably one of my most entertaining stories I'd ever done. And people that were in the training afterward were like, oh my gosh, what were you doing? I was like, I was listening, but I'd see it was funny and stuff like that. Also teaches people, you don't just look like you're doing business. You don't just look like you're doing sales. You're actually providing content that's entertaining for people. And you have to see these opportunities and think of how you can create it into a story. The other day, my boys, I came downstairs, seen that there was balls everywhere. They had a ball pit. And so I went back upstairs, started taking a video of the balls. I videoed making them clean up. Obviously, they didn't want to clean up. I videotaped them fighting. It was like I made an entire story of it. So, you know, there is a fine line in between doing too much and not enough. But I would say just consistently posting more on your stories is very powerful. And if those of you that didn't know this, you can swipe up your finger and say it's like something funny. You can type in funny. And then you'll see all these little emojis that are really fun and you can add them on your story and on the picture. And that's really powerful, especially if you're talking a lot. I see people do this all the time. They just talk. And I actually don't like that and don't do that because I do talk, but at the bottom of every single screen I talk about, I actually put something that I'm saying. Because that way, sometimes people click through and then they're like, oh, wait, maybe I do. What is she talking about? Something about Instagram training? So I go back and I would go back and watch the beginning. But if it's just a talking head, you have to understand people don't have time. And if they think it's not going to be relevant for them, they're going to click off. Ash, do you want to talk about stories?
Yeah, 100%. Hands down, one of the most powerful tools, once again, that is right at our fingertips. It is all free. Free traffic, free eyeballs that are watching you, you know, and again, like Shauna had said, that it doesn't have to be your offer. It doesn't have to be sell, sell, sell. For me personally, I just love to create. I love being creative. And I feel like the more you get into that space, the more receptive your audience and your followers and even your potential clients will always be. Now, with stories, it is so much easier now, even compared to a year ago, to be very creative. You can add music, you can add GIFs, you can add little emojis, you can add filters. And, you know, like Shauna had said too, is to be very consistent with what it is you're doing. So pick one look or one feel of not just your stories, but into your content of your page, which we'll get into as well. And that way people know it's you. You know what I mean? Like, I know Shauna's post before, like, I even look at her name because she has a certain look, and many other people that we see and that we work with and that we follow and look up to as well. Now, again, with the stories, that you can literally tell a story with the stories. That's what it's for. And excuse me, the most powerful tool we have as human beings is to storytell. Why do you think we connect with movies and books and, you know, different speakers and different things that, you know, touch us at a certain deeper level, perhaps a cellular and emotional level that people truly resonate with? And that's why it's way more powerful as a social media marketing tool than, you know, say, for an example, other avenues and other ways that we do things, such as Facebook, you know, ad copy, different type of stuff. Where for us, for myself, I found that if I post early in the morning and continuously do it throughout the day from morning to night, and again, make sure it's relevant and has something to tell, because if it doesn't, then I won't use it, I won't post it. But for an example, if I post first thing in the morning, I will usually have 500 or 600 people that have watched that first story. And of course, you know, they go through, some click off, some keep going and whatnot. but I know that I'm getting like twice the amount of people seeing what I'm posting and what I'm doing and what I'm creating than I would anywhere else. So think of it being also like an omnipresence, like you're everywhere, but you're posting different content and different things everywhere so that people don't get, dismiss you, or I've already seen that on Facebook, so I'm just going to scroll past kind of a thing. So this is where stories can become super, not only for you to tap into your creative potential and bring that out in you, which is in everybody, but it also gives you that opportunity to do a lot that you can't potentially do with many other platforms. So I highly encourage, if you haven't started already, to start getting into the habit of using it, making sure that you're doing, coming from a creative space. For myself, I love posting about nature. I'm in nature. I'm obsessed with sunrise and sunset. So I'm like, you'll always kind of see that consistency on my stuff. My boyfriend's always like, why are you posting the same thing? I'm like, it's not. It's different every day. But it's like, that's perhaps he's not my audience, but that's okay too. So, but I know that it does connect with some because it connects with me, So who are you? That again goes into everything we've talked about thus far. And there's many creative different avenues you can go with it. So I, again, add the music, add the filters, do you literally, but make it intentional and relevant. Again, you don't want to just post just to post. And I feel like we've touched on that for sure. So
perfect. So just really quickly, we're going to shift from stories to some posting stuff. But the very last thing I do want to comment on stories is, just so you guys know, when you do a post on Instagram, the first hour of that post is the most important. So you want as many people to see that post as possible. There's a couple apps that you can use. One of them is called When to Post. It will tell you when your most engagement is. So for those of you that don't know, I know evening is huge for me. If I do a post at 10:30 p.m., it gets crazy. Which I'm like, everybody must be on their phones in bed at night, because if I do a post at 10:30, whereas Ash does one in the morning, and that's her biggest. And I've tested it. I've tried different times a day. If I do a post at 5 or 11 or 2, it will get nothing. It's crazy. So there's also the algorithm that does track when you do stuff and actually when your content is the most relevant. So When to Post is a free app. You can get it. Also, when you do that first post, I always put it on my story, and I'll put a big emoji over it, or a new post flashing sign, or here's a little trick that I'm going to teach you guys right now. If you put a picture on your story, you press the little handwriting thing, put your thumb down and you hold the picture, it's going to snap whatever color you pick. And then you can use the eraser and you can erase it, and your picture is actually underneath. So I do that every single time I have a new post, and I put new post up, and then people go to the post, because there's a lot of people that just watch stories, but they'll jump on your post. So the first hour is super duper important. So for those of you using hashtags, we'll get into hashtags. Actually, we might as well just do it right now. It's very simple. Up to 30 hashtags. Some people do 30 in the comments and 30 on the post. I'm finding that doesn't work like it used to anymore. I do 30 hashtags. I have them saved in my notes, and then I just adjust them. If you use the same hashtags too often, you'll get what we call shadow banned, and Facebook won't even allow you to be seen under those hashtags. So you have to switch up your hashtags. You have to make them relevant, and you don't want to be using hashtags that have 10 million, 100 million posts. You want to be choosing hashtags that are far less, so that because what happens is, if you're hashtagging something everybody else is doing, hashtag is a search engine, so your stuff's just going to get put to the bottom really quickly. Ash, do you want to touch on hashtags at all?
Yeah, for me personally, I do, I've been on and off with hashtags. I feel that Instagram has changed a lot, but it is, I think that's the most important thing that you touched on, was to not use the same hashtags over and over and over and over again. That you will get shadow banned and your stuff really won't get seen. So it's irrelevant, kind of. Making sure that you're being creative with your hashtags if you are using. And I'm not too sure if you can you still do 30 in the comments and 30 on the post? Is that
I don't know. I stopped doing it. I was told some people could and some people couldn't. I was one that couldn't, while other people still were able to. So I just stopped, and I just put 30. So one thing that you guys can use. How many of you would love to know how to space out your Instagram posts so it's not all jumbled? And this is like key. If Instagram, like for those of you posting the exact same thing on Instagram and going straight to Facebook using something like Hootsuite or something, not recommended. Shifting up your content, even if you post something 2 days later that you posted on a couple days ago, because what happens is like your content has to be creative. And if people are just seeing you do the same thing across all platforms, even if you have some different followers, it won't, it looks like you don't have a lot. So don't just go share directly. Sometimes I do, like I will, but it's not like an everyday thing. I post, people ask how often to post on Instagram. People used to say up to 4 times a day. I post once. Sometimes I might do 2, but I definitely find my engagement might go down. If I'm traveling, I'll do more, obviously, because there's just so many pictures and there's so much content. But yeah, so what you can do is when you're putting those 30 hashtags in your post, you can use something called Instagram line break caption something. Just type it into Google, it'll pop up, and you literally just put your write-up in there spaced out, and then it go copy to clipboard. And then when you put it in there, I usually put my hashtags about 6 lines down so that doesn't look all messy, right? So Instagram line break captioner works really nicely for that, and it'll space out your posts. Instagram's not for big long posts. It's like they say, like quotes, something simple, something short, something powerful, something that goes with your pictures is the best. I personally use Pinterest for that. If I have a picture, I'll like type something in that I'm feeling from the picture, and then I'll go through all the quotes. And you guys, if you're using people's quotes, if there's somebody's name attached to it, please quote them. Otherwise, either change it or put unknown at the end. You should always quote people that you're taking content from. We did start a little bit late, so we'll just finish with, okay, so Ash, do you want to share any of the apps that you use for Instagram? You use some.
Yeah, okay, so to create, are you able to share the screen? Should we show them our Instagrams? Okay,
Totally.
Just so you guys put this relevant and into context, I always like to explain things, and then you can see things very visual. So whenever you're posting content, again, you want people to recognize your stuff right away. So as you can see with my personal Instagram, like what is it even about? What do I do? I don't always, unless it's a good photo, like a really good photo that I feel connected to or relevant to post on my Instagram, I won't post it unless it's good, So but I might post something on Facebook that I won't post on Instagram, kind of a thing, right? So this is again where it's like you kind of pick and choose your content. Now, as you can see, my content has a certain, maybe just go up, Shauna, because that's more, yeah, there we go.
Yeah, from here up is kind of
from here up. So as you can see, I love fitness, I love yoga, I love travel. That's exactly what my Instagram says, travel, yoga, fitness, or travel, yoga, lifestyle, excuse me. And this is what I post relevant to, okay? So as you can see, the look of my Instagram is tailored to bright whites and deep blues and, some pops of color here and there. And I kind of mess around and play around with the double person, whatever, and, different colors and stuff. Now, in order to get, these are edited photos, and this is very done with intention. So what I personally use for my photos is, first I will grab the photo that I like, of course, and then let's just say, can you scroll down to the first photo that's there, Shauna? Yeah, perfect. So the photo with the dress. So this photo is a little bit darker, a little bit more almost like nudie, beigey kind of colors initially. And what I've done with this photo is I've taken it and put it into Lightroom, okay? So Lightroom is a free app that you can download onto your phone. And once you have Lightroom, you can use what is called presets. Now, I can add some companies in here. I'm not affiliated with any companies, so let me just put that out there right now. I don't gain anything from this, but I will give you the companies that I personally have bought, it's not even a word, have bought presets from, preset filters. So what this will do and depending on what the lighting is, what the photo is, if there's blues, if there's whites, if it's travel, if it's fashion, if it's photography, whatever, then it'll bring out these colors in the photo. So for this specific photo, I use a preset called Blogger. And I've consistently used that preset on majority of my whiter, lighter photos. So once I have that preset on and I like it, then I will save the photo in Lightroom. Okay, so Lightroom is number one. Preset company I will give you guys in the group, number two. And then number three, I will take it into an application called Snapseed. Now, Snapseed is a wonderful application as well. You can even use that on your own if you choose to kind of mess around with it. It's a little bit more work. This is why I like this kind of way of doing things, because it's very easy and time effective. Now I'll put the photo in Snapseed and then I'll expose the whites a little brighter. So the whites in the photo will stand out. Again, with me doing yoga in the doorway, in the pants, it pops against the background color. Now, if you scroll down, yeah, you can see like the whites are very, very white. Now with the colorful photos, you can see in Peru there, Shauna, sorry, just up. In this specific photo, I've used more of a filter preset that pops the color. Now, when I put the preset over this photo, it lost a bit of the detail. So what I can do in Snapseed, which is a wonderful, wonderful tool, again, is I can make the definition in the plants and in the mountains a lot more defined, so you can truly see the backdrop of the area. And then with the colors, again, I made them pop a little bit with a saturation brush in Snapseed. So these are the three main applications that I use for every single photo, every single 100% of the time. And you know, I pick and choose what is relevant to my page, you know. So number one is going to be Lightroom. Number two is going to be your presets. And number three is going to be Snapseed to tune and adjust your image specifically. And then you can see at the top here, I have different videos or highlight reel, I guess you could say, of my favorite videos, of my favorite travels, of different things and different stories that I've compiled over the years, and I've put into one place for people to see and to watch. So again, it's relevant, it's travel, it's yoga, okay? So again, you want to first, again, this comes back to everything we've talked about thus far, defining what it is you want, who you are, what your brand is, which is you, and then delivering that relevant content to your followers, to your audience, and therefore to your potential clients. And yeah, and then maybe Shauna, if you want to bring up yours, you can talk about yours, because I honestly learned all this from Shauna. So.
I was going to say very similar. Ash helped me a little bit with presets. I struggled a lot with presets when I first started, just because I was like, well, every picture is different and I can't just lay a filter over it. And I don't like filters because they do really stay away from filters, you guys. If you use presets, but stay away from filters or use Snapseed, because it can take away a lot of the beauty of a post. And honestly, we can't get into photography training at all. I will pop a photography training that I have done for my group in here for you guys, and it does talk all about Snapseed and how to use it. It is a free app. But I've been building my page for years, and I've spent a lot of time, effort, and energy on my page. Fortunately, if something happened when I went to Peru, and this can happen when you travel a lot, my engagement dropped by half. So I've been working on building that back up, which can happen when you travel. So if you travel and something happens and you kind of go backwards, don't freak out. You can get it back. But again, these right down here, session mentorship, life hacks, travel and work, yoga retreats, and why online. I actually get a ton of people watch these. So you do need these. Also, you have to have, who are you? Right up here. Take your business on social media, 6-figure online. I build brands, yoga retreats, social media marketing. It's obvious what I do. And yes, also if you're looking into here, I do a lot of variety, but it's very similar, right? I have a little bit, it's like fitness, yoga, travel, you know, adventure. I would say adventure is like, adventure, fun is a huge thing for me. So you can kind of see when I started using one specific preset here, but before I didn't use presets. I just used Snapseed, but it actually got to the point where it was so much extra work for me. But this is what I was talking about, where you guys can see, the write-up. So you can have, I just go like a few lines down and that's where I put my hashtags. But you know, you really want to switch it up. You don't want to always have the same thing. You want to have a little bit of everything so that it is always, you know, it is always who you are, but it's also really, really getting back to, you know, why are people following you and what do they want to see and why, you know, what's all that about? So, you know, feel free to follow. So it's Ashley Rose McKenzie, Shauna Unleashed, Taylor. I'm going to find Taylor's. Taylor has a really nice page too. T.S. Wallace, Taylor Snow Wallace. She's very much geared towards, you know, beauty. And that's a huge thing for her. She's young, she's pretty, she's beautiful. And, you know, like, look at it. She's like, gets great engagement on her stuff. So, and she kept it really simple, but see, she tells you who she is and everything. And then Melissa Kruper. And I'm not going to pull up Nikki's just because Nikki straight up was like, I don't use Instagram. There she is, the real Melissa K. Melissa's same thing. See how she has all hers down here? You know, and she has a look. She has totally a look. It's like adventure. And I would say hers is beauty as well. Adventure. She's big into beauty. She's, you know, that's her market. That's relationship. You know, so.
Babe.
She's a boss babe. She is all of you. So the point is there's a lot of, there's some apps too that you can use. One is called Plan or Planoly. If you don't know how your stuff is going to show up on your page or what it's going to look like, then you can use that and it will actually allow you to place a whole bunch of photos and you can see what it's going to look like on your page. And so you can actually pre-post as well. But, other than that, I don't really think there's a ton more that we can go into. We actually, Instagram, you guys, I'm going to unshare my screen here. I want to just explain something to you really quick. We've really, like, this training that we just gave you is like the tip of the iceberg. We just wanted to give you some stuff that you could utilize and go with right away. The things that we really felt were the most important. This is a massive, like, there's so much to Instagram. There's so much more. Really how to grow your following is huge. A big part of that is, you know, using hashtags and getting in, you know, constantly posting. But like, where do you find all these pictures? How do you find content? You have to start looking for opportunity. You have to always have your phone. Just so you know, sometimes I have to take 30 pictures before I can use one. So
you're not very diligent on photo taking. Like it's huge. It's everything.
With me, she's like, more pictures. I'm like, we need them, you know, but it's really important that you guys do, like, you're constantly thinking of ways that you can capture content and capture moments, because that's what people are really looking for. So we've just literally hit the tip of the iceberg. Within our training in the program, there's actually, how many hours of training is that? I haven't even got into it yet. Just uploaded it, and it was actually, they were going to sell it within the platform, and then last minute they just said, you know, we're just going to give this to you guys. They were going to sell it for, I think, almost $400 or something for people to buy the training. But you know how much? $397. $297. Oh yeah, US dollars. So there is a full Instagram training, but it's a few hours. I'm sure it's a few hours. Yeah. So. And done, you know, really done by people that do have, and this is the thing too, is people are like, oh, likes and followers and everything like that. Yes, that is huge. But just so you know, your likes aren't necessarily going to define, all that's really going to tell you is how many people are seeing your stuff. So it helps you kind of gauge your algorithm a little bit. But what you really need to, the numbers that you really need to be watching are your stories. How long are people engaged? Are your numbers staying the same throughout the day? Are people watching everything? Because that's where your sales essentially are going to come from. So, Ash, do you want to add anything before we kind of go to?
I think that's perfect. Honestly, to cap everything off, like Shauna said, there's endless amounts of information that we could sit here and, you know, give all day long. But I think just the basics to start, and as you dive deeper in getting used to creating content, again, it's key. Consistency, it's key. Everything is an opportunity to tell a story, an engaging photo, an engaging moment. And that's what people are looking for, connection, you guys. And that is so huge. And never, ever in like the time in history have we had it so easily at our fingertips. So, finding that connection, that creation, that inspiration, it literally gives you a purpose to do every single day. You're putting your focus and energy into something positive rather than dwelling on the negative and changing perceptions and perspectives of not only yourself, but the people that you allow yourself to inspire. So think of it like that. Who can I inspire today by sharing my message and my story just by me getting up and living my purpose, or living with potential, living however you want to put it, So that's huge. It's everything. It's everything.
There is some questions I just want to quickly answer. Again, I can't see some of them, so we'll get back to them. How does Instagram help with the business? It does everything for your business, because at the end of the day, people buy from people that they like, know, and trust. So you create relationships with your potential audience. Then when you do an offer that's relative to what you've been posting, they can see that you're good at it, right? So if I put out a yoga retreat, basically I put out yoga videos, I put out yoga pictures, like it's obvious I'm good at yoga. So if I release a retreat, then there's a good chance that if somebody wants to do a retreat, they're going to be like, well, I want to do it with Shauna because I've been watching her do yoga for a long time. I think she could teach me something. So Instagram is everything for business. It really is. Are we constantly on our phone? Well, that's why so would you rather be on your phone a lot of the day, or would you rather be in a cubicle? At the end of the day, that's really the question you need to ask yourselves. I am on my phone a lot, but I have gotten really good at picking and choosing when I'm on it. You have to become a creator, a contributor, not a scroller. So you can't be scrolling constantly. You can't constantly be going through and just getting lost in it. You post what you need to post, maybe go comment on a few people's things, respond to anybody that's messaged you, and get off. And that's why we give you these apps, so that you can learn to create content really fast. I actually can throw content together extremely fast now because I've gotten really good at it. You're welcome. There was other questions that I can't see now, and they were good questions. Sorry guys, I'm gonna have to go through and, here we go. There was other questions that I can't see now, and I don't wanna, that was awkward. That was so awkward. I don't know what's over there. Okay, so for the other questions that are on there, I will respond to them. It says, one of them was, how do you know if people watch your highlights? That's the unfortunate part, is you don't know. You don't know how many people, because when you put something on your highlight, just so you guys know, I learned this not too long ago. Every single thing that you post on your stories is saved forever. Saved. So you can go through your highlights and you can constantly be adding stuff to your highlights, but it will only allow you to see how many people have watched it up to that point. However, the reason I know people always watch my highlights is they message me about it. I actually get sales from people going, I was just watching your highlights and I would like to talk to you more about XYZ, whatever it is, right? So that's how you know, is people are watching them. So I hope that was helpful for you guys. I hope you can really do something with that training. And again, if you want more, you guys have until tomorrow to register. If you have any questions about registering at all, you can pop it, you can actually just write a message right on the page. Some people have been doing that, and we've been responding that way. Reach out to the person that you originally came from. Ask them the questions, because at the end of the day, this is going to be closed. Officially, the group will be closed on Sunday, and we will be shutting it down. So get your questions answered. You never know, right? Could be the best day of the rest of your life. Could change it.
I love that. That's awesome.
So hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and we will see you guys soon. Thanks for coming.
Bye.
You